Welcome to the Grand Review. This is the show that's all about movie news and reviews. I'm your host, the Apex Idiot, Garrett Ray. And joining me as always, his tires may not be slick, but he sure is. It's Andy Delia.
That's a nice one. Thanks, Garrett.
I gotta switch it up. Keep you on your toes. You know, maybe I'll do a bunch of nice ones, and then one day you'll be like, I've had a rough day. He's gonna come in here. He's gonna lift me up, and I'll be like, and coming up next, it's the guy who's twice as stupid as a dead monkey. And it's Andy Delia. And you know,
or
whatever.
G-Force 2.
Yeah, but it doesn't count if you do it right off the bat. It doesn't count. All right. So
I just like making you laugh.
I love laughing. It's a good time when we sit down in this theater. These hallowed halls full of movies and people who are bringing children into R-rated movies when they shouldn't. Just kidding. After 6 o'clock, that's not legally allowed. Do not try to do it. You will get kicked out. That's just how it works. Yeah. It was a weird note to start on. So anyway, welcome to the show.
Welcome.
If you have never listened to it before, basically this is how it works. We're going to do spoiler-free up front of this week's movie, and then spoilers, and we'll let you know when that's happening. And this week we actually have more than one movie, so just check the the time codes down in the show notes below, and then you can just kind of jump around to wherever you want. But
I'm sure we have some news at the end.
Yeah, we got a little bit of news, a little bit of something to talk about.
Yeah.
But we're going to start with the movie F1, which is known in Spanish-speaking countries as Funo. This is a movie that's all about racing. It's F1 the movie, which is did it get changed back to F1 by itself, or is it still F1
I don't know.
movie?
It's still being listed as like F1 the movie, which I think is stupid.
It's I think maybe they're just trying to stop confusion so people don't go to the theater thinking they're going to see an actual F1 race.
Stranger things have happened, so I guess I can see that.
Oh yeah, like that lady who asked you if they heard any monkeys in War for the Planet of the Apes or Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. These people are out there and they vote. This movie is directed by Joseph Kosinski, who did Top Gun Maverick and also did Spiderhead for Netflix, Only the Brave, Oblivion, and Tron Legacy. So the guy's been around, and he's not had like a movie coming out every year. You know, Tron Legacy was 2010. His next thing was 2013 with Oblivion. Next thing was 2017, then 2022.
I'm glad he's picky, though.
I think, I think it is a very...
and he's definitely one of the newer filmmakers that I'm having a lot of accolades for.
Yeah, and I mean, it's so interesting that his feature film debut is Tron Legacy, which while it didn't, do gangbusters at the office, it's a cult classic at this point. It's so well done.
I still wish Disney would give him the green light to do the Black Hole remake.
I wish Disney would turn into a black hole and implode on itself so we could have some other stuff going on. But the screenplay for this is done by Aaron Kruger, who, if you're not familiar with him...
Freddy Krueger's brother.
He did the Ghost in the Shell movie, also Top Gun Maverick, Dumbo.
Okay. Yeah, we're not getting better.
Transformers: Revenge of the Fallen, Dark of the Moon, and Age of Extinction, but he's not responsible for The Last Night, so he does get a pass there. This guy also wrote The Brothers Grimm, which is your least favorite
Terry Gilliam film. Yeah, I don't like that one.
He did The Ring, Scream 3, Killers in the House was his first one back in 98, so a little bit of a storied career, definitely an interesting mix of good and really bad, and then F1. Which is what is it, Andy? Your thoughts was what we start with. So is F1 good, bad, great, or terrible? And this will be, if you're listening on Spotify, you can vote along for F1. What did you think of it? Good, bad, great, or terrible?
It's good on the verge of great.
Okay.
There's just a little bit that I can't give this a great, but I really did enjoy it.
Okay. I'm interested to hear. Is it stuff we can't talk about till spoilers, or?
I just think it does drag a little bit here and there, but solid acting. I really like, I like Brad Pitt in this. I like his antagonist, the younger driver.
Yes, who is Joshua Pierce in the movie, played by Damson Idris.
Right. He was really good, and he's kind of a little bit of a standout there. Javier Bardem, I always like.
Yeah, he's great in this.
So it's funny. He was on Jimmy Fallon recently, saying how much of a metalhead he is.
Oh, really?
And he went to a Judas Priest concert, and he was trying to get like friends of his to go. They're like, no, we got kids. We got to put any. He's like, oh, you guys are getting soft. And like they show footage of him at like this Judas Priest show, like headbanging and stuff.
I would not have guessed that.
Yeah, no, neither would I. So you have my respect, Javier Bardem.
Movie stars, they're just like us normal people.
The other unsung hero definitely is the cameraman. The camera work on this thing is just amazing.
Yeah,
I just think the story just kind of drags a little bit, but that's why I can't give it a grade.
Okay,
but I definitely liked it. I definitely was drawn into that. I know nothing about F1 racing, so I felt that I actually picked up some of what it is from watching. I like the fact that it's all kind of set in Europe, and I like seeing the pit crew shots and everything. I thought were really cool. Yeah, especially since they were freaking out like 7 seconds. I'm like, oh, to me that's good. And they're like, no.
You need to shave 2 seconds off of that. And it's like, how do you do a 5 second, 4 tires? But that team, man, those teams really do that in real life under 7 seconds. It is insane.
I thought the Irish woman was good.
Yes. So her name is, Carrie Condon. Carrie Condon is her name. And I was trying to figure out where I recognized her from. But she was, she was actually the voice of Friday, the AI that replaces Jarvis in Age of Ultron, Captain America: Civil War, and Spider-Man: Homecoming, and then Infinity War and Endgame. So she plays that. So I was like, oh, that kind of explains why the voice sounds familiar. But she was in your favorite movie, Night Swim, as the mom. She was also in The Banshees of Inisherin, playing a character whose name is very Irish, and I will not be trying to read it out.
That Brendan Gleeson and I can't think of the
Colin
Farrell.
Yeah.
That's a really good like little movie too, and it's set in Ireland, so it makes sense that she's in that. Like there's a lot of stuff like this about I really liked. I just thought the pacing was a little off.
Okay, and so was it like when you say pacing's a little off? Are you talking about like we're spending too long on certain races, or it's the stuff in between the races that feels off?
I think the stuff in between races is where it was off a little bit, and it kind of drags.
Okay.
Not to the point that it's unbearable or that I wanted to get out of the theater or stop watching it. I thought there could have been a little bit more racing scenes. But I still liked it. I thought it was very good.
Okay. I loved this movie. And we saw it in Dolby.
Yeah. So here's the story behind this.
Well, hold on. Let me just say one thing about the movie. It was the sound was incredible in the Dolby cinema. The sound was incredible, but I did think the picture was a little dark.
Yeah. You want to tell them why?
I think it was projection issues, probably.
No.
Well, how could it be my fault?
No,
my eyes just had
fault.
half the. So go ahead.
Okay, so I'm going to tell this story since Gary is laughing so hard because of how much of an idiot he is.
I called myself the apex idiot for a reason.
Yeah, and I will give you that title, no doubt.
Worn like a badge of honor.
So Garrett and I drove down to Austin from Belton, Texas to see F1 because everybody's actually raving about seeing this in IMAX or large screen or Dolby. So Garrett's never seen a movie in Dolby, so I decided to take him to have his first time out because I really felt the film to do it. Yeah. And I was right. The sound and picture quality is incredible. So Garrett picked him up, and what does he forget in his car? His glasses.
I have my prescription sunglasses, so I can see.
That doesn't do you much good in a darkened theater.
It does not. So what I ended up doing was during the daytime scenes, I would periodically just take my glasses up so I could get an idea of the color and the brightness, and then come back down so I could see detail, and then a couple minutes later be like, color, yep, okay, nope, yep. And my brain would fill in a little bit, but there were certain scenes of the movie where it was dark. I was like, I think I'm just going to have to take these off and squint real hard. And definitely by the end of the movie, my eyes were like, hey, bud, did you forget we don't work so well? So, I may be the only person to have actually had to watch a movie with his sunglasses on in a theater. But
yeah, and then having the hiccups in the beginning of it.
How did that happen? It was so loud.
You tell me.
And Drew kept threatening to tattle on me. I was like, you tattle on me, I'm going to drag you out with me, bud. Like, if they come in and go, who's hiccuping? And you point at me, I'm walking out, but you're going over my shoulder. I'm taking you out too for the betrayal. But the hiccups did die down. And even with sunglasses on, this movie looks incredible. The cinematography really is like, this is, I think, taking the idea of a vehicle mount camera to the highest level you can. And you can definitely tell that there is some stuff that was learned on Top Gun Maverick that's been applied here. Yeah. I love, and you know, at one point I was like, maybe they're overusing it, but there's this rig they have where the camera's looking forward and then swings around back to the driver. And they use that a lot. But every time I'm like, yeah, that makes total sense. You could cut, but why not just show it as this like continuous moment,
right? So
you can see what's coming and then see how they're reacting to it, and it's connected in a way. And I think that's the thing that really was striking about the whole movie was every race was edge of your seat, nail biting, like, you know, you're in the middle of it, and you're not. It's not just because there's, oh wow, flash things are happening and my brain's engaged because I'm a little crow who needs shiny things. It's actually engaging in a story sense.
Right. And it's not like TikTok cuts and a lot of that kind of stuff either. Like there's definitely long shots and the way it was done, it wasn't like quick. It was very methodically thought out.
Yeah. And our two leads, you know, are having to do a lot of acting when they're in the cars with their eyes, and it totally works. Right. Like you can read their expressions while only seeing essentially, you know, what you could see through goggles, and it's great. I loved every bit of that. I didn't feel like it dragged on the stuff in between.
In all fairness, too, I might have been just a little bit tired when we saw it because it was up until 6 in the morning, and then we didn't see it until 7:30 at night. I didn't get a nap.
Yeah, I think watch this when you're well rested and see if you feel the same. Because I liked all the character stuff. I want to see it again.
I definitely would say that.
Me too. I'm going to come here and bring Hannah.
And I think the good thing, like everybody's already making comparisons to Days of Thunder. Mm-hmm. This is way better than Days of Thunder for a couple of things. It doesn't have Tom Cruise. So there's +1.
Yeah.
Brad Pitt is actually a better actor than Tom Cruise is by far.
He's very charming as always. And
F1 racing is a lot more interesting than stock car racing.
Yeah.
Like I got that. I still probably won't ever watch an F1 race. If I had time to go to a live one, I would probably take the tickets for that because I wouldn't mind seeing that in person.
I think I might actually start watching F1.
Okay.
And that is absolutely the purpose of this movie. This is F1, the advertisement.
Right.
You know, but I grew up racing dirt bikes. And so, you know, so much of what they're talking about was like, no, I'm familiar with all this terminology really, and being able to see, you know, the car's point of view of that was so interesting. And I legitimately, like, when there's this scene, and this isn't really spoiling anything, but it's towards the end. The camera is no longer showing you part of the car. It's just showing the point of view of the car, and the amount of speed that you feel in that moment, and the rest of the movie.
Not to the sound quality in that theater. Like now you know why I liked it. Dolby Cinema,
dude. Dolby is that is something else, and it is. Yeah. This is one of those movies where if you watch it at home, you will not have the same
even if you have a surround sound theater, it won't be the same.
The whole side of the theater was completely lined with speakers, and I was looking around and I was like. And then for a second I thought, oh my gosh, having to mix for this because there's 19 different speakers on that one little thing there, and they have to pick which one they want this sound to come out of.
Right.
I think I'd throw up if I had to do that for all of these.
It is quite a lengthy process because I've seen some behind the scenes stuff on how they mix those. It's incredible.
Yeah, man, it is a process I can't even begin to explain to someone who hasn't done audio.
Right.
I mostly work in stereo, and even in stereo, you'll drive yourself nuts. So having 150 different speakers, that's a one-way ticket to the loony bin, my friend. By the time you're done, you're like, I mixed F1, and they're like, yes, Mr. Johnson, take your pills, and he keeps whacking his head against the wall. You know? But yeah, I think on all fronts, it is so well done, and it. You know, there's that joke online about Martin Scorsese being like, this is cinema, and
right.
But this is.
Yeah.
I really think that
agree.
This is a piece of art that just so happens to have the most product placement you've seen since Zack Snyder's Superman, where half the movie takes place, in front of or in an IHOP. But I loved the characters. I loved the story's not like, it's a thin-ish story, but it all works.
There's not much to it. It's actually more character interaction than it is story.
Sure, yeah.
And that's fine by me.
Yeah.
Because I've always said some of the best films don't have a defined story. They're just good, well-written character interactions.
Yeah, yeah. And, story being breathed from that, this is who this person is and what they would do given this situation. Right. And I don't know if I could say there weren't enough races in there. There were more than I expected. I thought we'd get maybe 3 races plus a montage. But they didn't do that, man. Like they give you a lot of time on the track.
Well, it's funny. The film picks up it's already halfway through the season.
Yeah,
and that's kind of where it begins. The first 10 minutes is Brad Pitt racing at Daytona.
Yep.
And he wins that, and that's not really a spoiler either.
No.
But Javier Bardem is an old acquaintance of his that he knows that he's friends with. He has a team that's literally going bankrupt, and he needs somebody because they are in dead last place of the Formula One circuit.
They haven't even gotten a single point.
Right,
on the
they
board.
haven't earned anything or gotten any notoriety. They're almost about to lose their seat on the circuit, and they have to bring Brad Pitt in to at least maintain. They're not even caring about winning. They're just looking to maintain.
Right. Yeah. Just get us a point.
Right.
So that I don't have to sell this out from under me.
Right.
Yeah.
And, of course, the young kid is very cocky and, the old guy, he's old. I'm new. I'm the future of racing, and you don't know anything. And, they butt heads and collide. The woman tries to kind of maintain the peace a lot.
Yeah.
And the poker scene, I think, is great.
Poker scene's awesome. Yeah, I love that.
Yeah. So, like I said, it's a really, really good movie.
Yeah, for me, it was a great. There wasn't a single moment where I was wanting to walk away, and the fact that I was literally gasping before even getting to the end of the movie, just watching what was happening. I was gasping at the camera work, the color grade when I could see it.
The one scene I was definitely gasping at, and we'll get into that in spoilers.
Mm-hmm. Okay, yeah. Do you want to just go ahead and get into spoilers on this one?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, let's get into spoilers. Spoiler. What's your gasp scene?
Okay, the gasp scene was the wreck.
Oh gosh,
and that car goes flying,
dude.
And it just is. How that guy got out of it alive.
This is the one problem I have with the movie. Because that car flipped 14 times, landed in the woods, and he gets out and
bursts into flame.
What's his injury?
He has a burnt right hand. That's it.
That boy should have a broken spine.
He should have been the Human Torch.
Yes, yeah, absolutely.
And I understand, they wear flame retardant suits and all that stuff. I get it, but
he was in there for a while.
From the camera angle that they showed, he should have been a charcoal briquette.
Man, everything was on fire.
Yeah,
and I feel like that's the only thing that's a little over the top, but maybe there are some F1 crashes out there that look just like that and the person walks away. I don't know. But that was the one part. Was like, doesn't he have other issues? Like, he's running and everything is just fine. It's just he taps buttons and goes, "Oh, my hands hurt," and that's his injury. That doesn't make a lick of sense.
And then the other one that was when Brad Pitt's auditioning for the team and he wrecks the car.
Yeah,
and I was like, "Oh,
yeah,"
because I'm like, That's not like $300 at Mako. That's that's $500,000 right there that you got to fix.
And we went and did the math on the way home and found out it was like over $3.6 million in just tires over a season for F1 teams. Insane amounts of money being spent on this.
So we understood where Javier Bardem's character was coming from and why they needed to desperately.
I'm $350 million in the hole. I've bought 4 tires and now we're bankrupt. But yeah, it's the crash is crazy, and I think it also it serves its purpose, doing a great job of allowing there to be this this part where Pierce has to grow up and has to accept that he was responsible for what happened that day, even though Sonny was pushing him. Pierce was told to wait and chose not to, and ignored the advice of the more senior driver.
And then his mother blamed Brad
Sonny.
Pitt, which I was kind of mad at her for that. I'm like, no, but I don't think she had access to what they were hearing.
No, and he confesses to her later, it was my choice, because she says it's obvious you were running his race. So she thinks it was his choice to pass at that point too, and he doesn't correct her. I think because he got hurt, he wants to be.
He's embarrassed.
He's embarrassed.
He wants to be vindicated,
and he wants to prove that he doesn't need this old guy. And maybe he got in a crash. Accepting that it's your fault is hard. You know. And so I think that it really does everything it needs to for the story. It just is a bit more fire than I would. If the back of the car had been that on fire, I would have been like, yeah, they probably could have got him out before he exploded. But that was like. I don't even have a funny way to explain it. It was so much fire.
And that's where, like I said, you see the camera angle and everything on that, and you just wonder how the guy got out of that alive.
Yeah.
And with just a burnt hand.
Going
too.
30 feet up in the air and then crashing down with no sort of cushion. I mean, your spine's busted.
There had to have been multiple cameras and cuts for that scene that were very seamlessly put together, I might add.
Oh, yeah.
And it was very effective.
I'm curious to know which crashes are entirely CG cars, because you cannot tell.
That was the one scene where I was definitely like, oh, yeah, that's gonna hurt.
Yeah, man, it was. And I also love watching how Sonny plays in the gray areas, as they say. Yeah, they do a really good job of they give you just enough information that if you think about it, you can figure it out before the exposition comes in and explains what he's doing. So it's fun to watch in that way. But then also the ones that you kind of miss what his trick is, they give you the information from the pit crew, and it's great. It's exposition and it's kind of telling you what's happening, but it didn't annoy me like it does in other movies, because they're trying to figure out what he's doing too. So it makes story sense that they're like, what on earth? Oh, he's throwing the race to get.
And he kept them on their toes the entire time.
I love it. The first week they're like, don't go off on your own plan, whatever. And then the second week they're just like, and for plan C, what are you going to do? And he's like, I don't
know. We'll figure it out.
Yeah. I was wrong. I do have one other problem with the movie, and that is Abu Dhabi, because boy howdy, do the shenanigans that happen in Abu Dhabi are terrifying and human rights violations, and just if you ever. All right, you know how you'll see supermodels who post about going to Abu Dhabi and they're staying in expensive hotels and they've got crazy rich cars. Without being too crass on this show, essentially those women are being paid to go there to be demeaned in ways I cannot mention in polite company, impolite company, or possibly even anywhere where a microphone might pick it up, lest I end up on an FBI most wanted list. It is disgusting, awful, bad, and oil money really makes some weird people. So, whether it's in Abu Dhabi or Texas, I don't care. If you're doing things that demean people, just as a way to, excite yourself, maybe you should think a little bit about your life choices. But yeah, Abu Dhabi, just don't go there. And,
well, at least
unless you're ugly, then you're safe.
The Vegas scenes are a little bit more tame.
The Vegas scenes are very tame. No matter where you were in the world watching these races, they all look fantastic. It looks incredible. It's and the progression of teamwork is inspiring, and it makes you think okay, you get this feeling that like even people who are not on the same page, maybe you can learn to get along and have some respect for each other, and that's an encouraging message,
right? And that's where Sonny and
Pierce, Sonny and
Pierce, like that's the whole battle that they go through.
Yeah, the twist. There's a bit of a twist in here. So throughout the whole movie, they're talking about how Javier Bardem, Ruben, might have to sell the team, might get told that like forced to sale by the board member. He's got this one board member who's his eyes and ears on the board, he says. But this guy, oh boy, he's a snake in the grass. I believe it's played by Tobias Menzies, who's he's been in The Crown and some other stuff. But yeah, he basically after the season gets mostly tanked, he's like, okay, cool, I can force a sale then, and he's the one who's actually trying to do that rather than being on Ruben's side,
right? And
offers this offers this deal to Sonny Hayes to say like, hey, I want you to be part of the sale, I want you on the team, and Sonny just texting him an emoji of the middle finger is very funny to me.
Yeah. Well, and it's in line with his character. That's
yeah. He shows up to save the day because he's like, because of his devotion to his friend, and saying like, even if you don't want me there and you think it's not worth it for me to die, between the racing and between finding that moment where I'm flying, like he talked about, and saving you from this guy that you trusted, like he really has a real motivation to do it at the end. And I also love that they both give up the race.
Yeah.
And Sonny gets to win, but it's because Pierce has matured enough to say like
step aside.
Yeah.
And like he sees where the angle is going and where the motivation is, and he's man enough to go, okay, this is cool. Like let him take the win on this.
Yeah. Because, and I think it might be kind of left open to interpretation there. Like, is the spin out with Max Verstappen? I think it is, or maybe it's Lewis Hamilton. Anyway, I think it's Lewis Hamilton. So he's up there with Lewis Hamilton in the lead, and they weren't quite clear if he clipped him on purpose to cause a crash or if it was just an honest accident. But what did you think?
Rubbins Racing.
Yeah, Rubbins Racing. What do you think? Do you think it was on purpose or not?
Yeah, I do.
I kind of do, but at the same time, like the way it's framed, you could make an argument that it was just a whoops. Oh well.
I don't think there's anything as accidents on the track. I think it's all calculated.
Yeah, except for that Le Mans accident that happened that they showed in Ford versus Ferrari. That was just someone stepped on the brakes when they should have known better, but it was an accident because they were trying to pit.
You never did get to see Ferrari, did you?
I did not.
The accident scene.
Oh, it's in Ferrari, right? It's not in Ford versus Ferrari? Or is that the same movie?
No. There's two different ones. Ford versus Ferrari is the one with Christian Bale and Matt Damon.
Yeah.
Ferrari is the one directed by Michael Mann with Adam Driver.
Okay. Yeah, I said the wrong name, but that was the one I meant.
Yeah, where the tire hits the middle of the lane and scuffs it enough to blow it out and just took out like a whole bunch of people on the side of the road. That
70, 80 people that
horrific.
That yeah, that is an insane story. I just heard a podcast about that because when I'm working on stuff with my hands, but I don't need my ears, I'll listen to stuff.
That really is probably the best movie Adam Driver's done, like performance wise and just all around.
What are you talking about? Rise of Skywalker was fantastic.
Shut up.
He lied. Boy, is there anything else you want to talk about with this?
No, I just go see it.
Yeah, it's a straightforward sports movie. I mean,
it's very formulaic and it's very summer blockbuster-ish.
Would you say it's Formula One?
Matic? Yes. I was figuring you were going to say something. But I don't mind that. Like, I like those kind of films in the sense.
Yeah.
Like, there's nothing wrong with them. It's when it gets, like, totally ridiculous, like the Fast and Furious and going into space. That's when I start, like, driving down dams as they're blowing up and they're okay. And this one, for as much, like, the crash scene that you thought was a little over the top. Yeah. The rest of the film is not like that way. No. And it's just...
And I do want to fully admit, I could be wrong. There could be plenty of crashes like that people have survived just fine. I might be wrong about that. It just, to me, looked like that man was barbecue.
But yeah, for the being like the summer blockbuster, it's really good.
Yeah, and I think this is again another example of like the people who are at Apple TV. You know, they know what projects to pick that are good. They're just bad at distributing them.
Well, at least this one got a distribution. It wasn't like Wolves that ended up on television. Which, luckily, we got to see that in the theater.
I'm glad too, because that movie's so fun.
Yeah, that was one of our favorites from last year. And if you haven't seen it, you can see it on Apple Plus.
Yeah. Just make sure when you search it up, like it's WOLFS, Wolves.
Right.
And like if you type in WOLVES, you're gonna get probably some sort of like sci-fi, sci-fi channel thing.
I know Apple is selling it on like for buying movies. I think it's $20.
Okay.
Actually, it's worth the $20.
I think so too. Yeah, it's really good.
Yeah.
Just to see those two guys together causing havoc, love it. F1 managed to pull in 10.2 million in the Thursday previews, so not a bad take for.
No, I just thought it would be more.
I would have thought so too. And it's a $200 million budget, so it's got quite a hill to climb.
Even the screening we went to wasn't horribly packed. I was very disappointed with that.
I mean, it wasn't even half empty, but it wasn't every seat.
No.
You know?
I've worked shows like that at AMC that are like they're filled. Every seat is gone.
Yeah. But we did go on a Wednesday, so
but they normally have those fan screenings on Wednesday nights.
Oh, and they do get packed, because I was going to say maybe people didn't even know they could get tickets, but
no.
But maybe I just don't know anything because I'm perpetually looking at the wrong places for information.
Yeah, wearing sunglasses.
It was so dark. The walk back to the car, I just had to go blurry because I was like, there's not enough light for me to see.
So to race on the other end of the track now.
Yes.
The other film we're doing this week is Megan 2.0.
Megan 2.0. It is the follow-up to Megan, not 1.0. This is not a Fallen or Dead Reckoning Part 1 kind of thing. They're not changing the name of the first one.
No.
So this movie follows up a couple years after Megan and basically follows the same characters. It's 2 years after the event of Megan. Roboticist Gemma has become an author and an advocate for the regulation of artificial intelligence while trapping a still active Megan in a small, harmless robotic doll. Well, that is not exactly how that plays out. All right, Wikipedia's wrong about this one. But
yeah, that's what you get for going with Wikipedia.
Most of the time, it's all right.
Yeah, not this time.
I'm wrong once a week, but... But it's basically same characters. Everyone kind of returns. There's a couple new characters. I haven't seen the original one in maybe a year and a half. It's been a little bit.
Yeah, it's been like I didn't watch it the night before we saw this one just because I didn't see a need to.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And I watched the unrated version of the first one. I never saw the theatrical cut.
The first one I completely missed when it was in theaters. I didn't see it till it came on Peacock and it had the unrated version.
Yeah. So
that's the version I saw, and I was like, actually, this isn't bad.
Yeah, it's like a dark comedy, really, more than anything.
And it's, I made fun of it the entire time I was out saying, well, it's just Chucky 2.0.
Yeah.
But
now it is.
Yeah, now it is. The second one, there was just this. Okay, so first off, this is a bad movie. Let's make no bones about that. This is a bad movie. There is a lot of stuff to laugh at.
Sure.
That thank God we were the only ones in the theater when we saw this.
We were having fun.
Yeah, we did. Especially when I made fun of Christian. Pretend it's Christian, you goof. I hate that.
Yeah.
And then it was like I yelled at her at the Elon Musk.
Is that what you were coughing over there? I knew it was something like that. I was like, I just wonder if I got it wrong.
I do like the first couple of minutes whereas Gemma's character is now crusading for kids not to be attached to electronic devices.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, I have some hope for this.
I think even Jessica said, oh, this is a movie with a good message.
Yeah.
And I was like, don't worry, it'll get worse.
It did. It nosedives really fast. As soon as Megan is introduced again, as like ghostly images on a television set, it goes from there and just doesn't recover.
How is that any different from what happens in AI or Afraid?
Afraid actually wasn't as bad as this. Afraid actually was a decent movie, even though nobody went to see it.
Well, it did the same thing, though, with like the AI shows up on screens and stuff. It jumps around to different devices.
Yeah, but this is Megan, and Afraid was actually better than this. And Afraid
I think they're very different, too.
They are.
Yeah.
And Afraid is high-tech Invasion of the Body Snatchers.
Yeah.
And this one is just stupid.
This one is definitely, they've gone from like, from a more horror style setting to something it's
not
a sci-fi
film.
action movie.
Right.
It's a different tone, but it keeps the tongue-in-cheek sort of dark comedy aspect throughout most of it.
And Jermaine Clemente definitely contributes to that. And once he appeared, I was like, I should have known he would have been in this. Since he hasn't done a good movie since Flight of the Conchords, and that wasn't even a movie.
He was in Moana. He was a crab.
Who cares?
Millions of children.
I didn't like Moana.
Did you really not? I think it's fine.
I didn't.
Did you like Moana too?
Nope.
That's right. I remember.
I didn't like that either.
I thought it was. They're kids' movies. So
Disney is striking out this year for me. Well,
they're striking out for them as well. But
I have faith that Zootopia is going to be good.
I sure hope so. Yeah. Seeing Ke Huy Quan in something where the movie doesn't suck
decent?
would be great. No, he was fine in Love Hurts. It was everything around him that was bad.
Oh yeah, that's true.
So yeah, this one, good, bad, great, or terrible. You're giving it a
this
bad.
This is bad.
Okay. You're gonna be angry at me.
So you said this is good.
I think I have to give it a good because
you don't have to.
No, I had a lot of fun with it. It was exactly what I expected. But I think that all of the acting, the plot, like it's all entirely serviceable.
It's bad acting.
When? By whom?
All of it. By everybody.
You really think so? I think they're fine. They're not good, but they're fine. Like it's easily digestible. And I think because the thing is so darn goofy, the acting being good or bad almost doesn't matter. Like it's not Saturday morning VHS shot movie bad, you know?
I will have to say the saving grace for this film, if there is one, is it didn't take itself very seriously.
Not at all.
And if it did, that really would have...
Yes. If it was asking me to take it seriously, I'd be with you. I'd be like, this is a terrible piece of garbage.
Yeah.
But it wasn't.
Still is.
So I was just like, if it knows what it is, and I respect that about it, and I did laugh a lot. I was totally in the right mood for dumb schlocky sci-fi action
that's
film.
Definitely what this is.
Yeah.
So the story to this is there is an even worse killer robot on the loose that the government tried to harness called Amelia, that once Amelia started going back and killing everybody that created her, found the files for Gemma and her little niece. I can never remember that girl's name.
But her name is, Wikipedia's telling me, Katie.
Katie, thank you.
Cady, though. So that's annoying.
Amelia is seeking out Katie, and in a change of events, the only person that can protect them is Megan.
Mm-hmm.
So Megan is pretty much in the air, or in the cloud, I should say.
Yeah.
When the film starts, and then eventually she manipulates Katie and everybody else to make her into a real robot, and with some upgrades, and makes her taller and faster. And I almost think of the $1 Million Man thing.
Yeah, basically. I was like, man, Robin Williams wishes he was this kind of bicentennial man.
Yeah. I like Bicentennial Man, though.
I do too, yeah.
I think that's actually a good robot movie.
Better than AI with Haley Joel Osment.
Wow, that film's bad.
Yeah, man, I just had fun, you know? And
Okay.
I think if I had not seen F1, I would have seen this and been like, well, this is dumb. What a waste of time. But I saw F1 and had my fill of like, ooh, that's the savory, you know, the meat of cinema. That's the steak, right? And then I went to this and was like, this is a slushy. Like, you know, it was great in that sense.
I like the analogy on that. That's good. I like
because it's absolutely garbage and not good for me, but I like it. and I enjoyed this kind of play on like, okay, now we have to team up with Megan, but can we trust her, and how they play with that throughout the whole thing. And I think maybe the reason that I enjoy this, and the reason I'm surprised you don't like it more, is that Megan's sense of humor is just being mean. And I would think that plays right up your into your alley.
But it honestly, it just kind of got old after a while.
Really? Okay. Yeah, I didn't get tired of it. I don't know why.
Yeah. Drew loved it.
Okay. Yeah, it's bad.
Because he was trying to convince me the whole car ride home at why this movie wasn't bad.
I think it's to
the point that Jessica told him to shut up.
Dying. You have to push Jessica.
Yeah, that's when Jessica intervenes and goes, "Okay, shut up." That's not good.
All right, what would you ever recommend this as something you can throw on in the background and have a little fun with, or if you're kind of half watching a movie at least and having a beer and drinking.
For as many bad films as I like. No, I could not do that with this, because even like most of the bad films I like, I have fun with more than I did this.
Okay. Yeah. I don't know why this one just was fun for me. And I think that is absolutely, it's not the reason I'm not giving it a bad, even though it's like, okay, you see most of it coming. It's not doing anything really surprising or whatever. The reason I'm not giving it that is because I thought so much of it was entirely okay. It wasn't, the acting, was it Oscar worthy? No. Was it entirely frustrating to sit through like Texas Chainsaw Massacre? No, not at all.
Yes.
No, I don't.
Yes.
No, are you kidding me?
Yes.
The acting in Texas Chainsaw Massacre is some of the worst garbage I've ever seen.
Well, considering none of them were actors either, so that's...
Exactly. These people are actors. They're not winning Tony Awards, but they're better.
That guy that's head of the FBI, come on.
Okay, he's bad.
Yeah.
I'll give you that one. He's really bad.
And he gets like that knife to the chest, or that whole like stake to the chest. And Megan looks at him, she's like, yeah, he'll live.
Yeah, she goes, you'll be okay. It looks worse than it is. And just turns away from him. And I love that, because I was like, she does not care.
No, not in the slightest.
But no, I just think that Violet McGraw, who plays Katie, she's doing just fine for a kid actor.
Right.
I think she's better than the lead in How to Train Your Dragon, honestly. And then Allison Williams as Gemma, she's perfectly serviceable. She's not annoying to watch.
But she's a lot better in Get Out than she is in this.
Yeah, but I think she knows what caliber of movie she's in when she comes
to
work on this one.
Actress,
yeah, I mean, the budget of this is only 15 to 25 million as well. So this movie looks like way more expensive than $25 million. And the cinematography, the use of color is all very fun.
Which comes back to our running gag on this show is how did Joe Graffolia do? It cost $250 million?
No one has any idea except for the bathroom sniffles. I tell you what. Gosh. But I can't in good conscience say this is bad, because if I had made this as a movie to just entertain people who want to have a dumb, fun movie, I'd be like, yeah, I think I did my job. Okay. But that being said, do I think it's worth going and seeking out?
That's the question. Or would you just wait for Peacock streaming?
I think I would have just as much fun at home, and I definitely want to see the unrated version of this if they do that as well.
Actually, I do. I want to see what they cut out of this thing, because I'm sure they did.
Yeah, but there's so much fun, goofy stuff in here that I was just and I'm full cards on the table. I'm a goofball.
We know this.
I'm straight up a grade A USDA certified goof.
But so am I. Some of the films that I've mentioned on this show too, that even just. Like the one Jessica absolutely hates, I love Repo Man.
Yeah.
And she can't stand that movie.
Yeah.
And then the one I've been mentioning lately to everybody, Bubba Hotep, that everybody's like, that's a movie? And I'm like, yeah. It's probably the best thing you'll ever see Bruce Campbell do, is playing Elvis.
Elvis, that's so weird.
There is some redeeming things to that. As goofy as the story is,
yeah.
It's actually a good, bad movie. And there's a lot of films that I've seen that can fall into that category. But this one just, I knew what to expect. I knew what we were going to get a bad film, but yet I still was like, I just couldn't wait for this thing to be over last night. Maybe I just wasn't in the mood for it.
I think that might be part of it. If you liked the first Megan,
which I did,
and this one doesn't. have as many of the horror elements, which I know is something that like really is like something you get going for.
Yeah, but I knew this wasn't going to be a horror film from the get-go.
Yeah, it has that, like, it doesn't have the blue somber tone anymore. This one's Technicolor, you know, like this is sci-fi action.
And
with
I think the AI
mystery.
convention and everything too was kind of.
It was dumb, but it was. Here's the thing, Andy. I've been to a couple of Comic-Cons.
So have I.
And I've been to a couple of nerd conventions of other types. They are that stupid and lame. They're that dumb.
I really don't like some of the ones I've gone to. I don't think are that bad.
Well,
the people going to them, yes,
absolutely, and this is a bunch of dweebs who are really into AI, which reduces their ability to think, so that they can just rely on machines to do everything for them, thereby reducing their functionality as a citizen of the world. Of course, they're going to go to a place that sucks and has no originality. AI can't spit out real stuff. It just carbon copies or kind of pushes two things together and goes, this is an egg and this is another egg. I made you a double egg. And it's like, okay, but that has no purpose. And that's exactly what the AI conference was. I think they were making fun of it.
Okay. If that was the point of that, I will go along with that and go, okay, cool. Jermaine Clemente, though, was definitely...
Oh, my gosh. It was so over the top, so ridiculous.
And that's what he does well.
Yeah.
And he knows that.
Yes. I think he had fake abs. Like when well, let's get into spoilers.
Oh, yeah.
All right.
We haven't gotten to the spoilers yet?
Spoilers. Here we go. So I'm giving it a good, you're giving it a bad, but not a terrible, which is maybe, I think... between the two of us, we've gotten to a very middle of the road sort of thing, so that works. But yeah, Jermaine Clement, he gets seduced by why can't I? Amelia, which stands for Autonomous Military Engagement Logistics and Infiltration Android. And that was originally the plan that Megan had to use Gemma as bait for this guy to try and get a hold of his servers. But yeah, they change gears. Amelia, takes him back in there, and he pulls his shirt apart. And the man
was a prosthetic.
The most fake abs I've ever seen, and I laughed so hard.
There's no way that Kiwi's got that going underneath that shirt.
No, look at his face. The man's not shredded. But I loved it. I was like, that looks so dumb. And I love his line about like, it's so nice to be with a real person. And it's like, this is literally an android. Right. Like they're doing that kind of stuff all the time. Later on at the at the AI convention,
you would have been right the first time.
Well, they're both wrong and bad. But the line where Amelia's trying to convince Megan to like switch sides. And she's like, they tried to kill you, and Megan just goes, well, you can't pick your family. I was just like, these are corny freaking lines, but they're delivered with so much like irreverent seriousness that I can't help but love it. And we had talked about before going into this movie, there's a line in the trailer that's hang on to your vajigis.
Yeah.
And I was like, you don't need that. But then in the movie, I was like, that's stupid. I love it. And I'm fully aware that this is an embarrassing thing for me to even be saying, but I thought this movie was really funny, like unironically, because it just didn't care to be good.
Right. Yeah. And such is the mark of Blumhouse Pictures.
Yeah. And most of the time, I think they don't do it as well as they think they do. But this one, I don't know. I'm just sold on it. I had fun. I want the car that they stole. I don't know if it's a real car, but that car is freaking cool.
That car was a modified Tesla.
Oh, was it?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah, well, maybe I want it less now, but I want the body kit on a real car.
You want the Cybertruck now, don't you?
No. I don't hate the Cybertruck as much as some people do, but my wife hates the Cybertruck. Yeah,
I do too. Especially, I saw like a lime green one going down. You got to be kidding me.
I saw one that was like they had skinned it in like a matte black, and that actually looked pretty cool. Like that made the truck look better because it looks like a stealth bomber in that instance.
Okay,
so that was kind of neat. But generally, from the back, the Cybertruck is dumb and stupid looking. From a 45-degree angle, it's kind of neat. And then on the front, you're like, No. Then you go another 45 degrees over, you're like, maybe. But yeah, if I brought one home, my wife would kill me and then light the truck on fire and let my body be completely cremated by lithium batteries.
It would be a Viking funeral in a Cybertruck.
Yeah, except she'd spit on me out of disrespect, and I would deserve it. Goodness. Okay, so this whole idea of a printer company accidentally creating a motherboard that has an AI that they don't understand. So
right there,
stupid. I loved it, and then they were like, and they locked it away, and it just kept evolving. I'm like, that's not how technology works.
Yeah.
If it's on the same motherboard from 1984, it has 1 megabyte of RAM and cannot remember what it learned 5 seconds before because it has to dump it to run the next process. So that makes no sense.
The whole thing was that it's been gaining knowledge for all these years, and it's waiting to unleash it.
But it's also been locked in a Faraday cage with no signals in or out, meaning there's absolutely no way that it could have been learning anything about the world. So it's like the plot is stupid and the story is contrived, and this idea of Megan evolving is like, well, that I guess it kind of makes sense if you want to treat Megan like a character, not a machine. Fine. But overall,
and the whole thing with Christian turning into the bad guy,
you know what?
You saw that coming a mile away.
I actually like his performance because hear me out. I think he plays apathetic tech guy who doesn't really understand the consequences of his own actions perfectly. He's deadpan. He doesn't really, and he has this sense of self-righteousness.
Oh, yeah.
But it doesn't play it off as this over bombastic thing, which is what you could do with this character. That would be your first instinct. He plays it quiet. And I thought that's actually more intimidating, and it actually really works. Like when he's like, we are meeting with the UN, but it's a bad time. We can talk about that later because she's about to drill a hole in her head. But then he goes,
I like when she's like, I'm not your type, and he's like, yeah, my team will fix that.
Yeah, he's like, I'll have my team look into that. Like he clearly has a crush on her, but the fact that he just goes, I will have to kill Cole and Tess because I don't really know what they do.
That line was funny. Because it was almost like, I don't know what they're useful for.
Yeah.
And neither did we.
And the funny thing is, like, as funny as that line is, it also is it's the counterpoint to Megan had not been able to see people as anything except expendables to accomplish her main goal to protect Katie, right?
Right.
But then he's doing the same thing, and where she comes to Cole and scares him while he's sleeping and like puts her hand on him and says, I just want you to know I see you. He was like, thanks. And that whole scene happens. The exact opposite is happening with humanity.
Right.
And so she's learning to be human in a way where while he thinks he's protecting everyone from this threat, has become the very thing he swore to destroy.
Right.
He was meant to bring balance to the Force, not leave it in darkness. But it's actually like there's some thought put into that part of this movie. I appreciate that. Even if the AI chip makes not a lick of sense, not a single iota of thought was put into, yes, it can learn while trapped in a Faraday cage where it can't learn anything. But the story part of it, this idea of Megan evolving and the tension of this sort of like unhappy alliance, like I thought that stuff was serviceable. And so, I didn't hate it. And there's funny stuff like every time there's a moment where you go, ooh, it's undercut by a dumb thing that happens next. Like when so when Amelia has this body of this silver android at the convention and a bunch of people run in trying to take her down with EMP bullets, she fires her fist, which bonks a lady in the head.
That was funny.
Then out of that hole in her arm where the fist was, a spike comes out and she mutilates people. And then it cuts, and you're like, oh my gosh, she's just like ripping people to shreds. And then it cuts to a shot of the hand on the floor, standing up like you're like the thing, and just going blah, blah, blah. And it's so stupid, and it looks so goofy, and I love it.
So I think part of this kind of rips off another Blumhouse film that I have on my phone because it reminded me a lot of this last night called Upgrade. I had to think of the title.
I was gonna go watch Upgrade because I was thinking about it while watching this. Yeah, because like the chip in the head that gives you
right.
Yeah,
it's. I don't think it's coincidental that was another Blumhouse film and it ended up in this.
No, and I do like that though, that Gemma gets the exoskeleton that they're working on at the beginning, and she actually gets to have this fight, and then they do this whole thing where she's unconscious because she gets hit in the head.
Yeah,
but Megan is continuing to fight using her body. It's just. You know, you have these shots in the wide where clearly the person is having to pay attention to what they're doing, but then they cut to a close up and her head's just lolling around, and it's like those two things don't. I call BS, but fine, I'm fine with it. That's dope.
And even Amelia's outer chassis at the AI thing is very reminiscent of from Fritz Lang's Metropolis.
Oh,
from that female robot.
Yeah.
And that I kind of thought was neat. And I was like, okay, somebody did do a little bit of film history and put it in here. And I was like, I'm probably the only person that will notice that.
I believe you are, yes.
Because most of the people that are going to go see this don't have IQs higher than their shoe size, including us.
Yeah. My shoe size is 9, by the way, so the number's real low. I'm kidding. It's 9.5. I'm not a tiny man.
It is dumb fun. Just it gets to be a bit much after, especially the runtime on this thing. You've got to be kidding me.
I didn't care. I was
two hours for this thing. They could have been done in an hour and a half easily.
Every scene had something I enjoyed in it, so I was just like, yeah, leave it all in. That's great. I don't know. I didn't think the face was bad. Am I becoming an idiot? Like a real idiot.
Becoming.
Okay, well, that's hurtful but fair.
I'm just kidding with you.
I know. There's just this idea of this AI having to still, it's still around and it's still trying to maintain this goal, but it's taken a back seat for 2 years, watched, learned, developed.
When it's not connected to anything.
Well, but it's connected to the house, and it's like, there's an implication, I think, that Megan allowed for them to have that house because she was manipulating money or something behind the scenes.
Yeah, because she was like, Katie doesn't need to know about credit fraud.
Right, yeah.
And then that whole underground fortress that she created with the chute of clothes that doesn't even fit anybody. She just has like this stockpile of clothes that came out of the
drops
ceiling.
Them on Cody or Cole, whatever his name is. It was so stupid. I like the hideous robot version of herself that she makes that's like on tracks
that's
and
mutated.
And it has like just the eyebrows aren't connected to anything, so you're just seeing the metal bolts move around.
And the eyeballs.
Yeah, I like that design. It was like horrifying. It was. You know what it reminded me of? Because the hair was all just those wires. You remember that lady who loses all her hair at the end of the original Spy Kids? Her head kind of catches on fire because of a jetpack, and she has like a couple of sprigs of hair sticking out. Okay, well, that'll be funny to people my age.
Okay. Well, and then the one thing they showed too with that AI thing and the robots that they showed was reminiscent of Chopping Mall. And that's where I was laughing at that sequence.
Shopping Mall. Oh, man, I haven't thought about that in a while. Yeah.
Robots that had those arms like that. When they showed that, I was like, yeah, they ripped that off of Chopping Mall.
They homaged to Chopping Mall.
My butt. They ripped that off. And meanwhile, they ripped off an even worse film than this is.
Yeah.
Like Chopping Mall is even far superiorly bad to this.
The only reason I know of Chopping Mall is because I think it was featured on an episode of Red Letter Media's Best of the Worst series, which if you haven't watched it, you need to check this channel out. You would love it. It's film history mixed with Mystery Science Theater 3000, mixed with a roundtable discussion, and clips from the movie that are just like, it's incredible the stuff they pull out of it, and I'm sure a lot of those movies you will already have seen, but you'll finally have people who've actually seen it to listen to.
Yeah, and it's like, I've actually seen Chopping Mall, but
that's an incredibly deep cut as well.
Being a teenage horror fanatic that would watch anything that came into downtown Pittsburgh, I did.
You still will.
Yeah. Problem is, there's no more theaters in downtown Pittsburgh, so
that's true.
That doesn't help. But they don't. The good thing is they don't make films like that anymore.
Nope.
They make much worse.
Yeah, and they're all on Netflix, and they're made so you can watch them without watching them.
Yeah.
This one is also kind of in that vein, but I legitimately, my reputation's going down the toilet, and I know it, but I legitimately think there is enough happening every few seconds in here that is entertaining that you want to put your phone down and just actually pay attention.
Okay.
If you are a fan of stupid movies.
I say wait for streaming.
Probably, yeah. But I did like...
I mean, if you're walking into the movie theater this weekend and you're looking and trying to make a decision between F1 and Megan and How to Train Your Dragon, I definitely say spend your movie dollar on F1.
Yeah.
Even over How to Train Your Dragon, to be honest.
Oh, yeah, it's great. Unless you have kids. They probably... I don't know. Kids might like the racing.
Yeah.
But it does have some adult themes.
If you still find a theater that's playing Life of Chuck, that's worth it too if you're a little bit older. Yeah. It's on my radar and I want to see it. And I think Jessica and I are going to go see it on Sunday as The Materialists.
Oh, yeah.
I've read about how good that film is. Mm-hmm. And it's hard to believe with Dakota Johnson in it because I can't stand her, and I have a hard time thinking she actually made a good movie. So, because Rebel Wilson's bomb of the year that came out last year that even we didn't play, that's how bad that Bride Hard, which they pushed very hard at in Vegas. And I had people like sticking flyers with my hand in that every 5 seconds, and I'm like, I'm not gonna watch that.
They want another Pitch Perfect success off of her tenure there. But
it's funny that it's the same company that put out Fight or Flight.
Is it really? Well, you win some, you lose some, you know?
So it's like, yeah, we picked up Fire or Flight, but are we going to pick up that? No. No, we went with the even more bigger bomb, Elio.
Yeah, not doing great. Although it seems to have had a bit of a bounce back in its second week.
It has here.
So, you know,
maybe a word of so there's marketing strategy or what the experts predict that being along the lines of Elemental might actually happen.
Yeah, it might end up growing some legs. I mean, I'm seeing kids walk by with Elio buckets right now. So you never know. I mean, stranger things have happened. You know, someone gave Todd Phillips $250 million to make Joker 2 poo-poo. So
I still think the one trailer that I keep running across lately that comes out at the end of the summer, and I don't think I'll play it here, but I'm definitely going to go see it, is Honey Don't with Megan Qualley and Chris Evans.
Seen that one.
Made by Ethan Coen. And it's a private detective, kind of noirish kind of film, but it does have Aubrey Plaza in it, so that's kind of a drawback as well.
I know which one this is. I have no interest in this one, at all.
Making fun of like evangelical religions and stuff like that too.
I don't.
Yeah, I know you're not going to watch it. But
everyone thinks you're stupid for believing in God. I understand.
No, it doesn't. It makes fun of cult-like religions. That's what's more interesting to me.
Oh, well, that's pretty funny. But yeah, I dumb fun. I'm going to give it a good, but that is with the understanding. I still say it's bad,
but it is dumb fun.
That's with the understanding that I don't think that it's worth going to see over anything else in theaters right now. But if you are literally just going, I want to get out of the house and I want to laugh at something stupid and sit in the air conditioning.
Yeah. This is it.
Come watch Megan 2.0.
Yep. There's plenty of tickets available. And
yes, there are.
Thursday night grosses for this are 1.5 million.
1.5. So
really bad.
But they only have a $25 million budget to make back. So it's totally possible we could see a version 3.
Blumhouse is the one. I can't imagine. Like their movies always make money, even though most of them are horrible. Because like The Woman in the Yard we didn't see, and I don't want to. Rob saw it and said it was awful. And then Rob sent me a message last night. That's our film buyer, by the way.
Andy's the manager of a theater, by the way.
Yeah.
Just context if you've never heard of the show before.
He saw Toxic Avenger, the new one coming out, and we're staying away from it.
Yeah.
And he was like, it's bad. It almost sounded like a gun. It's bad. In the message that he sent me, and I was like, ooh.
Well,
I still kind of want to see it just to see how bad it is.
Oh, I know you will. Like you've been talking about this for a year.
But the gross out film of the year that's on my radar is Together.
Yeah, that's gonna be nasty.
Because at least there's something to that. It's not just blood and guts for blood and guts. Like there is a story to it.
I haven't had any like major updates on the lawsuit that's been going on, except that the director came out and said that he was very saddened to hear that because he's saying it's not a ripoff, but I don't know if he wrote it, so it's possible someone else didn't tell him it was a ripoff.
And the film that supposedly rips off is not available anywhere.
Right? Yeah. Yeah,
which I was kind of disappointed with.
It was made and premiered somewhere, but it's not. Yeah, you can't find it. Because I remember going and looking for it, and I was just like, I can't even find a bootleg copy.
No.
Come on, people. Not that I would encourage you doing that.
Just like my quest for hardware.
Yeah, good luck with that.
Someday I'll own that film.
Someone somewhere will work out a deal for $40 because it's been sitting in a dustbin and be like, can we just print some DVDs? And they'll be like, yeah, but only DVDs. We don't want 1080. We don't want anyone to be able to stream this well online.
If I ever get my hands on that, you have to see it. I'm curious what you would think of it.
Yeah, well, if it ever comes out, I guess we'll have to take a look at it. But
yeah.
Oh, hold on, Andy. You hear that?
Yeah.
I think that's the Internet Movie of the Week.
Oh, it's about time.
It's about time.
Garrett finally did his homework this week.
It
Thank
only
God.
took 3 weeks.
Yeah.
So we watched Predator.
Killer of
Killers. Now, I was informed that it is Predator, not Predator, correct?
Yes.
Okay, cool. I forgot to do the joke when I introduced the movie, so I tried to work it back in. It was not worth it. But yeah, so this was dropped on Hulu.
This is on Hulu. It's an animated Predator film Dan Trachtenberg did.
Yes.
And it's freaking amazing.
Dude, it's awesome. Oh my gosh. It's the story. Who needs it? We have the Predator. like this is very...
it has a story to it.
Well, technically it has 3 stories to it, but it's light on that. It is a bunch of excuses to introduce warriors from different time periods fighting the Predator.
Yeah, but they're all cool.
They all, and like the second one that takes place in feudal Japan is there's almost no dialogue except for like the very beginning and the very end, and it's almost the same words and doesn't need it, and it is emotional. It's great, and the predators are all different in each one, so you see them using different tactics, different techniques, different equipment.
Yep.
Having a predator fight take place between a biplane and or not a biplane, but a World War II fighter and a predator ship that can cloak and stuff, and seeing them work out how to actually beat this thing. All of that's so fascinating. So I'm going to say this is like, we're just in spoilers for this. It's been out for a couple weeks.
And it's almost like Prey, where on paper it sounds like a bad movie.
Yeah.
But when you see it, you actually, like, the suspension of disbelief is there, and you just go, this is really cool.
Yeah, it's and the animation style is like fascinating.
I really want to know how they did a lot of that, because it's not rotoscope.
No, I think it's similar to how they did the movie Klaus. It kind of looks like that to me, but it's not something I've seen a lot. But I think I have seen this style once or twice before.
I think that was the refreshing thing to see about that as well. Is it's something that you don't see all the time.
Yeah.
And the tie-ins at the end. So my curiosity is going to be, how does this link to Badlands coming out in November?
Well, it seems fairly probable, I'll say, that time travel's not involved, but freezing people and keeping them in coffins for a really long time is, meaning that
because
all of these people could show up in Badlands.
Because I told you how, like, one thing was going to link to another.
And it really does.
Yeah.
Twice, actually. Because when
I saw that scene, I was like, oh, that's freaking awesome.
Yeah. And, like, they hint at it, too, because the gun that the bullet gets when they all get sent out to fight each other is the gun from Prey. And he's like, this isn't even from my century. And everyone's there's like, fight. And, it's so interesting. A bigger glimpse into kind of the Predator homeworld and how they're...
Because I initially just thought it was going to be the 3 stories and that was going to be the end. Yeah. And then after, when it goes into the real end of that part, I was like, ooh, there's more? Really?
Yeah. and then you get this, like, giant Predator dog and this, I guess, kind of the chief Predator, who is decked out in the spines of the fallen enemies he's killed and is huge and is fighting this Viking woman. Like, all of that stuff is just straight up awesome.
Yeah.
Like, I don't have another word except for holy crap.
Yeah.
Like, it's so good looking. It's produced by 20th Century Studios and Davis Entertainment. But I can't actually see who it was that was in charge of all the animation stuff. The Third Floor
Dan
Incorporated
Trachtenberg was the director.
Okay, yeah.
Who also did Prey, and he does have Badlands coming out. And I really hope I have room to play Badlands come November.
You have to.
Because
you have to.
The bad part about Badlands is it's coming out against The Running Man.
Yeah.
And Running Man might run all over it.
I see what you did there. That's very clever.
Thank you. But I really, like, even if I have to put it in screen 6, like our smallest auditorium, I would kind of still want to get it and play it.
Yeah. And I'm hoping that it has a similar response, critically at least, to how Prey was received and how Alien Romulus was received.
Yeah.
Romulus, I know, amongst the fandom is a little bit controversial because some people are like, oh, I love it because it feels like what I wanted from an Alien movie that I hadn't gotten in the last couple. And then other people were like, this is just playing the greatest hits and I wanted something new.
Right.
But Fede Alvarez did an amazing job with that movie, and half of the fandom is wrong.
He did, and I'm curious to see what he comes up with next in that universe.
Yes, yeah, I definitely I want to see what Alien Remus, I guess they could do, or because that's the Remus and Romulus were the two twins from Rome. Anyway, I know history, but yeah, this one just it really does such a great job of like establishing the threat, and one of the things that's so great about animation that you can't do as much in live action without it being kind of cheesy was that it's the poster frames, you know, those frames where you can see the very defined action of the slice and the way that they stop after and, you know, kind of hang in the air for a second.
Right.
But it's not like anime long hangs or anything. It's all so quick paced, but you can totally tell what's happening in every shot.
Yeah. And it's just such a beautifully put together film.
Man, the color is incredible. Like the way that they use the sunrise in the Japan one.
Yeah.
Like,
the Japan one is the one that really sticks out the most of the three stories.
I think that was my favorite of the three.
Yeah.
And I loved every second of it. And it doesn't overstay its welcome. It's 90 minutes on the dot.
Right.
It gets in, gives you all the action you could dream of, and gets out, and it's just like, hey, see you in the next one.
And it's still an engaging story. It still leaves you hanging at the end of this.
Yeah, and you do care about the characters, I think. The American guy the least, but maybe that's just because he talks too much. But you know, he's a younger guy. Like, it makes sense that he's like that, and he comes from a different culture than the Japanese, who would, you know, they've been raised by a warlord. They're going to be stoic and silent and all this stuff.
Well, and the whole thing about three people from very different worlds, very different times, very different cultures have to band together, and how the Japanese guy figures that out at the end, that like, we have to fight as one, or else we're going to be taken apart.
Yep.
And all of that is like, put together whatever differences you all have and make it work, because your life depends on it.
Yeah, and the rage of Ursa, the Viking woman, being redirected at the people beside her before she realizes that that's revenge or whatever. Like, the driving force that was behind her was not actually good.
Right.
Before this, her father had said it to her, and she had said it to her son: if I fall, avenge me.
Right.
But when she sacrifices herself at the end, they have no idea what she's saying, but she says, do not avenge me.
Don't avenge me.
And rides her shield down that. And I love fighting with shields. That's always such a cool thing. Man, I freaking loved it.
Yeah.
Watch it. If you have Hulu, it's free.
Yeah.
You know, don't let your kids watch it. It's bloody, but it's not.
I thought about letting Drew watch it though, because I didn't think it was that bad.
Yeah, I just like young kids. I would keep away from it. But
definitely. It's got some bloodshed in it. It's a little more on the adulterer side, but definitely anybody that's into this universe and like these films the way that we do. 100%. Like, give it a shot.
Yeah, it's a great movie.
It is
a great movie, and
I really wish they had released this in theaters.
Me too, man. You want to just hook up the Apple TV? Something will come in at 6 a.m. and
get that mixed up and end up playing that with the kid movies on.
What? It's animated. What's your problem?
Well, I told you about that story a long time ago.
That a movie had gotten mixed in like played a horror movie or something?
Like summer movie clubhouse things have been around a long time.
Sure.
And when it was filmed, it was very easy to get that screwed up. As a projectionist at the one theater I worked at, that he ended up playing Anaconda 2 instead of the kid film. And I had some mother coming out like screaming at me that there's like snakes eating people in there. And I'm like, are you high? So I was like, okay. I go in and I was like, ooh, yeah, that's the wrong movie.
Yeah, that was definitely not the best the best summer movie experience those children had.
Thank God for digital cinema that can't really make that mistake if you program it correctly.
Yep. Much easier than swapping out a roll of film as well,
I
think. But
yeah, definitely.
You want to talk news?
Yeah, let's talk news.
So first up, Denis Villeneuve has been confirmed to be the director of the next James Bond movie. So this is coming from Joe Blow News. All of our news is coming from there, but they pull their news from other places. So this is my news Wikipedia.
What does that do for Dune Part 3?
I think Dune Part 3 is going into production. So I think that's happening first. They are still on the hunt for a James Bond. And here's the thing. Amazon apparently wants a young James Bond. They don't want an older statesman person. So the names being thrown around are Harris Dickinson, Jacob Elordi, and Tom Holland.
That's too young.
That's the age they're going for.
Because then there were other two rumors that I'd read this past, like Henry Cavill is still in the mix, and Aaron Taylor Johnson has been mentioned a couple of times as well.
Well, they've been talking about them a lot, and this is rumor at this point.
Right.
But the idea that they're looking for a younger Bond, it kind of makes sense because they probably don't want to recast, so they want to be able to just keep following him, throughout a longer time. So the younger you start, the more that you get. But do we need a James Bond origin movie?
No.
Do we need Tom Holland in his diapers with a Glock? No. I think not. Also, they'd use a PP9, not a Glock.
No, Casino Royale is the origin movie, and it doesn't need to be done again.
Yeah, I don't think so either. But to answer your question, though, there is a quote in here. It says Villeneuve will complete work on Dune Messiah before he turns his attention to Bond.
Okay, good.
He said, some of my earliest movie-going memories are connected to 007. I grew up watching James Bond films with my father ever since Dr. No with Sean Connery. I'm a die-hard Bond fan. To me, he's sacred territory. I intend to honor the tradition and open the path for many new missions to come. This is a massive responsibility, but also incredibly exciting for me and a huge honor. Amy, David, and I are absolutely thrilled to bring him back to the screen. Thank you, Amazon MGM Studios, for their trust.
That makes me really excited. Whatever they come up with for this, I'm already in. I don't even care.
If Denis Villeneuve said, I hate Bond, I'd still be excited for what he was going to do. He's good. The Dune movies are not my favorite thing in the world just because it's not a not a sci-fi world I love, but I appreciate the artistry more than I can say.
And I like that side. I've read more of those books than you have.
Yeah.
But
because I have read none of them. So.
Yeah.
Also, I can't read.
That was part of my teenage. You know how to read. Shut up.
Not really. I have to have the news dictated to me by Siri.
That was part of my teenage years too. We're reading those Dune books, and just how he translated those to screen was just spot on. And I really wanted to see what he comes up with for the third part of this, but hearing him talk how reverent he is about James Bond in that series. Mm-hmm. So you got the right guy for the job first and foremost, which is a good thing because sometimes they pick these directors. Like a good example of that is Brett Ratner for X-Men, the Last Stand.
Yep.
That he knew nothing about comics, didn't know anything about the X-Men, but got this movie and he screwed it up royally because that third X-Men film is a train wreck.
It's bad.
I don't know if it's worse than Dark Phoenix because I never saw it. Because that looked really bad too.
I didn't watch Dark Phoenix, but I did watch Apocalypse and nearly threw up in my mouth at how much that movie
Apocalypse
was bad.
Was bad. I saw Apocalypse, and that's when I was like, I'm done.
Because it's just nothing.
It is.
But you know what's not nothing?
What?
the script for the Batman Part 2. So
Matt Reeves, yep.
Apparently, he's finished at least a draft of the script, and he posted a picture of it with. It's got the Batman logo. The script is everything's out of focus, and some people sitting on the couch. I think it's him and Matson Tomlin, but he put partners in crime, and then in parentheses fighters, and then 3 bat emojis. I wonder if Robin will be a part of this. It feels like a weird move to go this early. But it's possible, I guess. But it could just be that he's saying we're partners in crime fighters, me and Matson Tomlin or whatever this guy's name is.
If he's got a good idea for it, you probably will see it.
Yeah. There's, people are throwing rumors around like crazy, but no one knows. Matt Reeves has got to be the only. Matt and whoever he was co-writing with and James Gunn have got to be the only people who actually know what's in the script.
That's got to be funny for like those guys that actually know and like hear all these rumors and go, you are so wrong.
They're bringing Arnie back. That's the scoop here at the Grand Review. They're bringing Arnie back. He's going to play Iceman.
Well, because that was the thing for the longest time. Everybody
Mr.
thought
Freeze.
it was going to be Mr. Freeze because the mock-ups they have for the posters were in winter and snow and ice, and that was the theory.
Were those official or were they just...
No, they weren't official.
Okay, well then, that's stuff. Just... That means nothing. That means that means less than nothing.
Right.
And all of you fans out there should know you mean less than... No, I'm just kidding. There's... now, Matt Reeves has said... it's going to dig into the epic story about deeper corruption, and it goes into places Bruce Wayne couldn't even anticipate in the first one. The seeds where all this go are in the first movie and expands in a way that will show you aspects of the character you never got to see. Batman is constantly battling these forces, but those forces can't be entirely exercised. So the next movie delves deeper into that. That tells me nothing about who the villain is or anything like that,
but it makes me interested enough to want to see it.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm super pumped for this.
And
so.
I like the last one. I like what he did with it, and I even like Rob Pattinson in it.
Yeah, I like Rob Pattinson in it a lot.
Paul Dano, who I initially was like scratching my head at when I heard he was going to be Riddler.
He's good,
but that worked.
Yeah.
But but like I said, that one I seem to be the most polarizing out of any of the Batmans. Like, depending on who you talk to, there are people that really hate that movie as much as the people that really love that film.
Right,
too.
because half of the population who would go see that movie have no brains. So,
but Batman was originally Detective Comics.
Yep.
So that's really what it embodied.
Yeah, and I like seeing that side of it because so much of why I had a tough time with not Ben Affleck. Yeah, Ben Affleck. With Ben Affleck's Batman is he's very superhero, no detective. And I'm like, I like the detective part of the character. Like that's part of what makes him interesting to me.
Yeah, but I actually kind of like
I think he's fine. I just think they make him do stuff that's like, nah, you should have pulled back just a little bit from that. but that's just personal taste.
Okay.
So have you ever been to like the Hollywood Tower Terror ride? Have you ever gone on that? I never have either, so I don't really know that much about it. But I do know that Scarlett Johansson is trying to adapt that into a story to make a movie about it.
I read that.
She says, quote, "It's a hard nut to crack, harder than you think because the ride itself, there's some lore to it, but it's, I don't want to say thin, but it is kind of. And so she's working on trying to figure this out. This is a ride where you drop in an elevator.
Yeah.
That's a movie. All right. Michael Bay might be returning to the Transformers franchise.
Next.
So we've heard that the next movie in the series would be a G.I. Joe crossover, but that might not be the case. Puck is reporting that Bay has pitched a new Transformers project to Paramount last year. His intention being to return to the franchise as a hands-on producer and potential director. He's chosen Jordan Van Dina, who wrote The Binge and It's a Wonderful Binge, to write a screenplay based on his pitch. I've never heard of those movies.
Neither have I.
Oh, yeah. That's shocking for you. So, yeah, there's no details on the plot or anything, but we might be getting another Michael Bay Transformers movie. And say what you will, the original Transformers trilogy, the VFX in that still holds up like nobody's business. And you have to give Bay credit for being able to direct in a way that makes those things work together.
Okay.
But everything else about them is bad.
Shia
LaBeouf, for instance.
They've been threatening that the G.I. Joe crossover for like years, and it's never come to fruition. So I don't know if that's ever going to happen. Or
well, the thing is, they're going about it wrong. What you should
do
at
this point, I don't care.
We've had a team up between Transformers and humans. G.I. Joe doesn't add anything new. We've had Army guys, right?
No.
What you need is a team up between Transformers and Gerbils. Now, hear me out. G-Force 2, Transformers, Dark of the Running Ball. Godzilla versus Kong or Cross Kong, X Kong, whatever. Apparently, they say they're aiming to have a, quote, compelling human element, which is something that none of these movies has had.
So that would definitely be an original idea.
Absolutely. It would. I mean, I would love to see a movie where it's like, they tease it as this big thing, right? Whatever. They do all these animated shots where it's like Godzilla and Kong fighting whatever the monster is, right? But the actual movie has none of that in it. It's all trailer bait. Right. And what happens is it's a deep character drama about the relationship between a dying child and their estranged aunt who they used to love, but is the only family they have left. And it's all that. It's heartbreaking, heart-wrenching, and for 1 second, literally 1 second in the background, they're in the hospital. She's saying goodbye for the last time before her eyes close and her poor little life gives out. And Godzilla just kind of walks by in the like Bigfoot in the background, and then Kong just goes bloop, bloop behind him, and that's all you see. I would love that. I wouldn't want to watch it, obviously, but I would want someone else to get tricked into watching it, and them going, no, they're in there.
So speaking of getting tricked into watching, the early screenings of Jurassic World Rebirth were this week, and like no good word out of any of that.
They're saying it's a movie for people who are stupid.
Yeah, that's everything that I'm reading. So you'll love it.
Yeah, probably.
And Drew will love it too. It might take us a while to get that podcast up because that's going to be July 3rd. I'm not recording on July 4th. I don't care.
Neither. Yeah. So we're getting a bad Jurassic Park movie. We've gotten a couple of bad Spielberg movies in the past. Not bad, but just like underperforming. No one cares about them.
So is this segueing into the Spielberg's UFO film?
No, this is segueing into the fact that Steven Spielberg says he has no plans ever to retire.
Okay.
He has a UFO film coming out?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
He just wrapped his UFO film.
Okay. Well, we'll see that probably when it comes out, and no one else will.
Just as long as it's like not Nope Part 2.
I haven't seen it.
You're not missing much.
I haven't seen Nope. People loved it, though, I thought.
I had some issues with it. I think it's Jordan Peele's worst film.
Really?
Yeah. And I thought Us was probably his best film. I liked Get Out. I liked Us a lot just because the twists and turns to that story were really cool and inventive. Nope just seemed to be kind of And it goes a long way out of its way to prove very tiny plot points that aren't that important.
Got it. Does anyone in the movie look up and see an alien spaceship in the sky and everything gets real quiet for a second and everything pauses and you go, nope, and run away?
Yeah.
Fantastic. I don't even need to watch it. I just wanted to know if that happened.
Yeah, it did. So now you don't have to watch it.
That was it. I feel vindicated in my thoughts of like, that's got to be the reason they called it that, right?
Yeah, Jess and I went to an advanced screening for that, and we were kind of like,
Yeah. Well, you can't win them all. But you can get another movie set in the Megan universe. And this is coming out on January 2nd, 2026. It's called Soulmate with an 8.
Oh, it's like another bad version of the Megan Fox film that went straight to streaming.
Yeah. Subservience. Yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly what they showed us stuff for this in Vegas. And I was just like, this is the Megan Fox thing all over again.
So you've actually seen the some material from this.
Yeah,
okay,
I have.
I thought this was going to be a total surprise to you.
No. Yeah, Soulmate.
Yeah, so according to Chris Bumbray, who works at Joe Blow, he said it seems similar to Companion. Centers on a sex bot that becomes so obsessed with her quote-unquote owner that she kills anyone close to him and goes on a murder spree. Looks more violent and kinkier than Megan, but has the same sense of humor. When a woman she's about to kill says women aren't supposed to be pitted against each other, she said, "Don't start that girl power crap with me."
I think comparing it to Companion is the wrong analogy to make. Solely because that's not what Companion was about.
Yeah, no, it's not at all. But
it was subservient.
I mean, this guy reports for Joe Blow. I'm not saying this is the be-all, end-all of wisdom.
True.
Just quoting what he said. I mean, yeah, this literally is the plot of Megan, except instead of a little girl bonding with a robot, it's a guy having relations with a robot.
A sex doll.
Well, that'll be bad. Can't wait.
Yeah, it'll probably do as well as Night Swim did. And the same release date as well.
Yeah, this is getting dumped in January. This feels like a January dump movie.
It is. Nobody's going to see it.
It will probably be the only thing coming out that week, though. So as the curse demands, we probably will have to see it.
Yeah, because we'll make fun of it.
Yeah, absolutely. We're gonna have fun. We're gonna have fun, like being ourselves.
If we don't have fun with that, though, then that's where we have the problem.
Dude, when I don't have fun with them, when I can't have fun with the movie, you heard me on the show. I laugh at nothing. like
you laugh at everything.
I do because I'm trying to make the show jovial.
I know.
But it's just like Borderlands was a humorless, joyless ride.
I really thought it was funny when we were having dinner, and even you were telling Drew, I gotta go against you. I'm like, that's a bad movie, dude.
I try to just let Drew enjoy what he enjoys as much as possible. But when he brings up Borderland, I'm like, all right, I have to have some respect for myself, even though I like Megan 2.0. Borderlands is terrible.
Yeah, because it's a Lionsgate film. That's why.
Goodness gracious. All right. Do you have anything else you can think of, or I think that's all I got.
I guess Bad Guys 2. Runtime is an hour and 44 minutes.
Good length.
Tickets go on sale Wednesday.
Sweet. And where's that you can get tickets?
GrandAvenueTheater.com.
Okay, GrandAvenueTheater.com.
Not until Wednesday though.
On Wednesday.
Opens August 1st. So. I guess we're moving all the way into August now for advanced ticket sales, because everything for August or for July is up except for I Know What You Did Last Summer.
That's fine. I don't think anyone's getting ahead of the curve on that.
I have had some people call and ask if we were going to play it. Not many, but
it's so funny to me. I in all my years until I met you, I never considered calling a theater and asking if they were going to show a movie. I always just waited until it came out and said, this place is showing it and that place is not, because I could just look it up.
I get it all the time. Really,
it's so funny to me. Like I'm not even like making fun of it as an idea or whatever. I'm saying I'm so stupid. I never got ahead of anything in my life.
The one that I got a lot of calls for recently that I was kind of shocked for was the Al Pacino Possession movie.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, like people were calling, are you getting it? No. And they're like, really? Yeah, no, we're not. It's not big enough and nobody cares.
We don't respect Al Pacino anymore.
I lost respect for him when he backed out of Despicable Me 2 after the film was already done.
Wait, he backed out after it was done?
Yeah.
How do you even do that?
They had to go back and it delayed the opening because he was supposed to be the voice of El Macho. And the stuff we saw at CinemaCon that year had him voicing El Macho. And he just, once he saw the film, he was like, no, this is stupid. I'm not doing it. You're pulling all of my vocal tracks out of this.
How did the contract allow for that? That's insane.
I guess because he's Al Pacino.
Well, I don't care if he's al dente. Shut up, Al.
And then they got Benjamin Bratt because he works cheap.
Yeah.
And did it like super fast so they
and he did a great job.
Yeah,
Melchow's great.
So they could try to make their release date without pushing it back too much.
I mean, did he have to match the timing of their stuff as much as he could? So they only had to do minor re-renders. That's an incredible amount
Chris
of work.
Meledandri was pretty vocal about how much of a pain in the butt it was
to deal with Al Pacino.
Well, just the whole situation.
Yeah, that would suck. I would be absolutely livid, and I would go out and be like, Al Pacino, don't hire him. Don't hire him. I don't care what kind of deal you get. The man has enough money, for one, and he has enough ego. We all need to bring him down a peg and call him up and say, hey, Al, the weird one's better than you. Like,
and then
that's a Weird Al joke.
I think we're pretty much confirmed, too, for Jaws' 50th anniversary at the end of August.
Sweet.
And then we do have the National Geographic Jaws documentary coming out July 11th.
I'm very excited for this.
Yeah, me too.
I want to watch a documentary that doesn't end in a bunch of people drinking the Kool-Aid.
So it's funny that I'm older than the movie is.
I don't know how to help you with that.
same thing with Texas Chainsaw Massacre. It celebrated its 50th anniversary, and I'm older than that.
I really don't think you look it, though. Like, you've got, like, kind of the salt and pepper thing going on, but I don't think of you as, like, an old man.
I think I will probably feel really old when it gets to be the Halloween 50th anniversary, and it's not that far off.
Yeah. I'll feel old later. I'll get there. Right now, I just feel crippled and broken because we've been going to the gym. Consistently for 3 weeks, we're doing the best we've ever done, and I am in pain.
But I think that's all I got. But so thank you for letting me shameless plug my theater.
Absolutely. This episode is brought to you by Solar Flight Productions, who is one of the premier Central Texas film and commercial production studio. And if you need anything, you can find them at solarflightpro.com. That's SOLARFLIGHTPRO.com. Like a shooting star, Solar Flight. Yes, I know the name makes it sound like I sell solar panels. Yes, it was a bad idea. I was 18 when I named it. Leave me alone.
And it was as always, we said this the other day, like off mic, that any famous people that want to come on this show, like that actually listens to us, which I'd be shocked.
I would be beyond shocked. I would be, as the children say, deceased.
Reach out to us, and we will definitely make room for you.
Yeah, we absolutely. If anyone ever wants to come on the show and talk about their movie, even if I've said something really mean, I will be nice to you and apologize. Well, yeah, because he beat me up. And with that admission of my weak everything, there's only one thing left to say, and that is, we'll see you at the movies. Bye.